Amy, could you join me? We are very, very pleased to have a famous moderator in this session, Amy Peck. So I think I let you introduce yourself, please.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Gregory. Yes, I'm Amy Peck. I am the founder of ENDEAVOUR VR. Last June in 2019, I actually joined HTC Vive as Senior Director of Enterprise Content. Because I think with all of the hardware, well, you know, it's wonderful. Vive has amazing hardware, but really none of this matters without really amazing software. So I'm very happy to be here today and to be hosting this particular track, Industry 4.0. We have really great speakers lined up. So I'll just let you know who we've got, and feel free to stay for all of them, because I think we're going to have a great panel at the end and be able to answer some of your questions. So we'll be starting shortly with Kevin GINO from LUMISCAPHE. And he's going to be talking about VR and remote collaborative tools for industry. So I can't really think of a better venue for this, especially with everything that's happening in the world. I think this is a great example of how we can leverage virtual environments and VR for conferences of this nature. And I'm really thrilled to see we have over 180 users in the room right now. We have almost 1,000 in the world, and we expect many, many more. It's very, very early for me in San Francisco in the morning. But as we start to wake up on the West Coast, I believe a lot of us will join you. So let me just check in with Kevin GINO, but of course, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I see we have one out there. Quite sure how to see it. Or you can also, I believe, you can also send me a private chat, and I will try and answer those as quickly as possible for everyone. So let me just check in with Kevin and see if he is ready.
Hello.
In the meantime, do any of you have any questions?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin GINO. I'm a product expert and support manager at LUMISCAPHE. To start with, who are we? Briefly, we are an editor and integrator of 3D software for the industry. Our head office is in Bordeaux, but we also have offices in Paris, Tokyo, and Shanghai. And our customers are in Europe, North America, and Asia. The company was created 20 years ago and is still managed by its founders. Today, I would like to introduce you to some of the tools of the LUMISCAPHE ecosystem. Our ecosystem includes Patchwork 3D, our authoring software that allows you to obtain photorealistic images or renderings. We also have WebRender, which allows us to produce a large number of images, for example, for web configurators, as for the automotive industry, used among others at Renault. So I will show you on the Renault website. This is a configurator done with our technology, and all the renders here are calculated by WebRender, and you can configure the model on your web browser. These tools allow you to do immersive and collaborative project review, but also to share your 3D data from anywhere. Of course, use cases will support my presentation to explain how our customers use and integrate this software in their design process. First of all, I would like to talk about our visualization software, Axel VR. As you know, for many industrial companies, virtual reality is becoming a strategic issue in order, among other things, to carry out project reviews. Faurecia, an automotive equipment manufacturer, uses our Axel VR solution to highlight design and product innovation concepts with simulations, environment and lighting, mobile elements, and HMI. Photorealism and the real-time visualization and immersive sharing possibilities are highly appreciated by the company's design teams, who have been able to reduce the use of physical models and thus reduce costs and lead times. Also, validation of modules, functionality, and ergonomics are verified in VR. Faurecia has therefore equipped its design studio with virtual reality headsets, gradually replacing the tools needed to create physical models. Our software, Accel VR, goes further, as it is designed to facilitate the collaborative work. Connect Peers feature makes teamwork in virtual reality possible, even remotely, by synchronizing scenes between sites and displaying 3D rendering. For example, Faurecia World Teams synchronize to do project reviews despite the geographical distance between them. Another use case, Telia Aerospace, an aerospace equipment manufacturer that designs and manufactures aerostructures elements and aircraft seats. Accel VR is not only used for in-house reviews, but above all, for customer reviews. I will send in the public chat a small video can watch of the use case and this short excerpt from a film shot at their premises in Rochefort. As you can see, Telia Aerospace uses our collaborative solution to optimize exchanges and information sharing between them, the industrials, and their customers, the airlines. In order to facilitate this type of project review and to allow users to stay informed of modification and project progress, CAD Tools function allows the visualization of the points to be modified. Is highly appreciated by our Japanese automotive customers. CAD Tools will send you again a small video. So the CAD Tools function, the CAD Tools features, they allow you to modify the model, to move surfaces, to deform the model, to draw free curves, all of this without having to go through the Patchwork 3D authoring software, just using controllers and a virtual reality headset. The most important thing is that these VR modifications are automatically updated in the CAD model. This feature is a perfect answer to the need to respond faster and faster to market demands. One of our Japanese customers says he has tripled the speed of their product design thanks to this CAD tool functionality, and this is why he decided to deploy the use of Accel VR in all other countries with a design studio. Now, I would like to talk to you about LUMIS 3D, our online digital solution. Great advantage of LUMIS 3D is that it makes it possible to visualize, annotate, and configure photorealistic 3D renders on any media. Solution allows a simplified collaboration between teams for the review of photorealistic 3D visuals. Remote validation is also possible and greatly facilitated by the quality of the renderings, but also by the possibility of posting comments on current projects. When we talk about visualization and the possibility to play with the different configurations to compare on the same screen several combinations of products, we do not say everything. Indeed, LUMIS 3D goes further, allowing you to share all of this simply through an HTML link, not requiring an existing LUMIS 3D or LUMISCAPHE account. What I want to expose on this point is the fact that you can, from a simple link, share to your customer the 3D rendering, allowing him to view the product, different configurations from anywhere, without you having to meet each other, which is very convenient to move projects forward. To show you the truth of what I'm saying, I will send you a link in public chat again. So here I will make a quick live demo. Here we are in LUMIS 3D. You can see an array sheet that's designed by our designers team and computer graphic designers. You can change configurations and play animations. You can now perfectly perceive the ease with which your customer can discover the product. As I told you, LUMIS 3D is a perfect tool for working at a distance. Also, for allowing the customer to project the future product in his environment. And not only with a photorealistic 3D rendering, but also with the possibility to use augmented reality. I'll let you see how Stelia Aerospace also uses this collaboration solution. I'm sending you the link to the video again in public chat. We can easily say that the possibility to see aircraft seats in virtual reality with Axel VR or in augmented reality with LUMIS 3D strongly reduces the design costs, also facilitates the possibility of customer demonstrations. Also, you can see your 3D rendering and compare them in real time with Webgl through the gateway to Patchwork Explorer Web from LUMIS. Here you will have real-time rendering. So compared to LUMIS, you have a more fluent render. You can again compare and play with configurations. All of this in real time in your web browser. And also play animations. Axel VR and LUMIS 3D are complementary for 3D model visualization. And it goes even further, thanks to our unique file format and a direct gateway in Axel VR that allows you to access data on LUMIS 3D. Each user can then view exactly the same model with the same rendering quality on the platform of their choice, one on a mobile tablet and the other one in a VR headset. As you will have understood, the two tools I mentioned during this presentation are highly appreciated by our customers, offering a real possibility to work and advance projects even remotely. Before finishing my presentation, I would like to take advantage of this conference to announce the free version of our Patchwork 3D software. The community version, which cannot be used for commercial purposes, allows you to access the photorealistic rendering of our authoring software. And as I didn't tell you about it during the presentation, I'll let you discover by yourself its features and the rendering quality, which is then used in the software of the LUMISCAPHE ecosystem. All of this by going to the betacommunity.patchwork3d.com website. If you have any question, now is the moment.
If you want, you can ask questions on the chat or unmute your microphone and ask your question directly.
Different switchable part configurations are possible, yes.
Kevin, there is another question about that data pipeline is needed.
You can send every kind of CAD model data into Patchwork 3D, and with Patchwork 3D, you prepare one file that can then be used in the whole ecosystem of LUMISCAPHE. Now, for the collaboration features, it's not simply a data exchange. LUMIS 3D, you can exchange data, but in Axel VR, you can also synchronize and be at the same time in the same scene and interact between each other at the same moment in the same with the same file. I don't have the list of all the plugins we have, but we have some plugins to connect directly with Rhino to synchronize the data, and it can send the modification from Patchwork 3D back to Rhino instantly. You can find more information about the other softwares on our website.
And just, Kevin, you have said that we can use it, test it online.
Sorry?
Can we test the product online?
With the links I sent in the public chat, you can test LUMIS 3D. For Axel VR, you need to contact our sales team. And for Patchwork 3D, you have the new community version that's released today, which you can find on the beta patchwork3d.com. This one can be downloaded for free and no problem to test it.
Okay, yes, sorry, it's not easy to test it live in this world, but it's much more simpler if you do the test yourself.
Sorry, I don't understand. I can't hear you well.
You have another question of Steve Simon in the chat?
Yes, we can send data from VR to the Rhino and from Rhino to the VR.
It's okay for you, no more questions?
So if you have no more questions, thanks for listening to my presentation. And you can also find a video of this conference with all the videos and the links to LUMIS 3D and the Webgl renderer on our channel on YouTube, on LUMISCAPHE's channel.
Thank you, Kevin.
Tous les gens qui sont connectés là.
Thanks.
On est censé écouter une conférence. Quand merde, j'ai mis mon micro.
Vous pouvez, oui, enlever votre micro, merci.
So Kevin will also be on our panel at the end of this part of the programming at 5:15. So if you have some other questions, you'll have time to compose them and ask us a little bit later this afternoon. Next, I'd like to invite Dimitri PIRNAY of BONSAI. He's going to talk about how to estimate and measure ROI on your next VR training. Dimitri.
Hello, Amy. Can everybody hear me properly? Is my microphone properly working?
Yeah, it's good for us. You have a little more than 20 minutes if you want.
That's very good. So I'll make sure to finish by 16:05, just to stick to my time slot. So nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Dimitri from BONSAI. BONSAI is a virtual reality design and development studio. So we've been working for the last 3 years building professional applications for a variety of clients, some of them in retail, some of them in military and defense, some others in heavy industry, and so on and so forth. So I will start this keynote with a bit of shameless self-promotion, and then I'm going to go into the core of the topic, which is the matter of return on investment on a virtual reality project. So just to show a bit the kind of projects that we've been doing, like for example, a crane simulator training to train crane drivers in virtual reality. Industrial safety trainings, training industrial workers on specific industrial trainings, so safety procedures and things. Fire trainings, both for regular office workers and also professional firemen, and so on and so forth. So today I'm going to actually address something really different. Is I'm going to give you an example where that's what I'm going to try and demonstrate, like that the cost of not doing virtual reality and augmented reality is going to be superior to the cost of doing virtual reality and augmented reality. And so there's also something that I would like to point out, is that virtual reality is actually not the present. Like there are a lot of use cases that are actually already being used, already going on, and so on and so forth. And so what is missing at the moment in the virtual reality landscape is business cases and return on investment. Like we hear a lot about this virtual reality project, that virtual reality project, but where is the return on investment? Where is the data? Well, actually, most companies don't measure their return on investment. They are confused by, the abstract statistics that are implied, and the ones who do measure their return on investment typically don't disclose their data because they are obviously powerful competitive tools. Us at BONSAI, we always make sure to measure our return on investment. And so this is something that we're going to share with you today. A little disclaimer, the client name is not disclosed, and the images I'm going to show are only for illustration. So for a hospital here in Belgium, One BONSAI is a Belgian company, we have done a digital twin of a surgery room. So that Belgian hospital is in the process of creating that surgery room. They're actually building it right now. And before the project, we actually made a digital twin of it. That digital twin is a full virtual reality reproduction of it in all its details, and has been used by the hospital to check if the surgery room makes sense. Why do they check if the surgery room actually makes sense? Is because when you build a physical surgery room, you basically build the surgery room itself, but then you also have to build all the neighboring rooms and all the neighboring elements of the building, meaning that you're going to have the operating theater, but the floor under it is going to be a ventilation unit. The floor on top of it is going to be a filtration unit, and then you're going to have all the clean, green, white access rooms and so on and so forth. And so what I'm going to do is go through something that's going to be a bit heavy, but it's actually a cost estimation of modifying such a surgery room. So I'm going to compare two columns, the traditional approach and the virtual reality twin approach. So if you focus for now only on the traditional approach, when you actually do one change in an operating theater, the average cost of it is about 320,000 euros. It's some changes cost more, some changes cost less, but the typical one-time change in a surgery room costs that amount. And the average number of modification that you are doing after or during the construction of a surgery room is about 6. And so we've seen it with the help of our virtual reality twin that complete cost of building and maintaining the virtual reality twin for the year before the construction works began cost about 550,000 euro. And it happens that the number of modification during and after has actually been only of 2. That means that we have actually spared 4 modifications to the surgery room, resulting in a cost reduction of 1.3 million euro for that specific hospital. So that's a return on investment of already 160%. It's already a massive cost reduction by investing in the creation of a digital twin before doing the real surgery room. That's not all. That's not counting in the opportunity cost of a construction delay. So these numbers are very difficult to measure. There's little data available, and they're also a bit controversial because they are very related to public money and public expenditures. But we still made it through and got to compute them. So if you focus for a moment on the column with the traditional approach, as a matter of fact, the average price, the average cost of existence of a surgery room is about 55 euro per minute. It's actually the charge of the surgery room per minute. Whether it's being used or not, that's just the fact that it's there, that's the money that it costs. When there is one change done to a surgery room, the induced delays is almost 2.5 months. Again, it takes that kind of time and that kind of budget, because if you do one change in a surgery room, you have to redo basically all the parts around that surgery room in the hospital. So if you combine the 6 changes that were required with that time, you realize that it's actually 14.5 months of average induced delay. So with our virtual reality twin approach, given that we have spared 4 modifications, well, we reduced these 14.4 months to actually only 4.8 of average induced delay. So we basically saved up almost 5 million euro in opportunity cost of that specific surgery room being delayed. So that's again a return on investment of like almost 300%. These are the kind of return on investment that we are able to quantify physically, but there are a lot of other aspects that we are actually not able to evaluate because there are no data for it. For example, what about all the changes that would not have happened if we didn't have a virtual digital twin of the surgery room? What would have happened if you know, when you have the digital twin, it's easy to try and modify it and do a lot of small tests. Like there are a lot of these small changes that they've done that they wouldn't have done in the real life surgery room because they wouldn't want it. The change wouldn't have been worth the cost of delay and additional construction works. We didn't take into account the cost of saving, the savings that are done on training the paramedical personnel before the specific surgery room is created. Because once you have the digital twin, you can use it for engineering and design and like these digital applications, but you can also use it for training your people. And we didn't account for the cost that you save on like all the public visits, the demonstration, and all the engineering work that has been done thanks to this digital twin. That's a concrete example where you see that the cost of not doing virtual reality or augmented reality is actually much higher than the cost of doing it. Like these kind of projects have huge return on investments by taking the the investment of doing a virtual reality thing. So you're gonna say, yeah, but like, what does it mean? Like I apply VR to anything and I have a positive return on investment? Well, actually no. Like you can prioritize specific projects against others. For example, if your current solution is either very big or very expensive or dangerous, then you can be sure that virtual or augmented reality is going to be able to help. Why? Because if it's big, expensive or dangerous, well, making a digital twin or making a virtual reality version of it is almost every time going to give you a positive return on investment. That's what we are doing at One BONSAI. So we are busy preparing an entire catalog of virtual reality solutions for a variety of fields. Like we are preparing first aid trainings for healthcare. We are preparing industrial safety trainings that are standardized, industrial procedures trainings that are all readily available. And all these different trainings are going to be available in a convenient to use dashboarding system for the managers of one set company. And the point of all these trainings is to actually give real-time feedback about how your people are actually doing and how they're actually operating the change and how they're actually incorporating the thing. So this gives me 7 minutes left in my presentation, which I would like to invest in answering your question, guys. Does anybody in the room have a question for me? Philippe Lebras, who asked, okay, you can actually move your VR room anywhere in the world. So it's actually true. There is still one thing about the specific example where the construction of the surgery room has to take into account the specific geolocation of the planned hospital, if you see what I mean. So if the hospital is being built on a specific slopey environment, for example, you have to take this into account into the engineering maps. And so what do I mean by traditional approach? Well, by traditional approach, I mean not doing a digital twin of the surgery room. So what happens when you don't do a digital twin? Well, you basically engineer and design the surgery room based on maps and schematics. So you end up with, like, 2D representations of the things. Like, you don't have a way to actually immerse yourself into the surgery room that has to be created, and you don't have a way to actually act out specific surgical operations to see how well your surgery room layout fits the work at hand. And so, yes, when I say VR twin, virtual twin, it is actually a very heavy, super detailed clone model, 3D model of everything inside the surgery room. And this is something that you can access with Immersive VR. Not really with the standard hardware, but with like specialized equipment, you can access this virtual reality twin with a headset. And
Sorry,
so,
to make sure I properly understood,
yeah.
I'm the one who asked the question. I'm one of the speakers after.
Yeah.
That you cannot, it's too heavy to be visualized in VR headsets, for instance, or in a cave or whatever.
So the way we do it is we basically have the high detail representation of it, and we have a low detail representation of it. So another question that's asked right before yours, David, is, okay, what game engine do you use? We actually use Unreal Engine, and we completely exploit the level of detail feature of Unreal Engine in order to achieve that. If that answers your question, David.
Yeah, but I would be very curious to see if you have experienced running a VR experience versus a non-VR, and compare the return on investment. Apparently, you're mostly comparing the ROI of doing a digital version of the virtual surgery room versus non-digital or pure CAD but non-interactive.
Yeah.
So I hope that's something you'll be working on, and will be probably very interested in having some kind of results regarding that part.
That's a pretty interesting thing, David. So what it might suggest is that I didn't expose it clearly enough. So what I'm comparing with the traditional approach is the traditional CAD approach, like without virtual reality visualization. So for these previous surgery room things, they actually did have basically CAD files, like a full representation of the surgery room in an Autodesk product line and these kind of things. What they didn't have was the fact that you could immerse yourself in virtual reality inside of it, and you could ask specific surgeons, you could invite them to actually put a headset on and try out specific surgical operations and things like this.
We will have an interesting discussion during the panel regarding the benefit of CAD versus real time, and maybe how both can be combined.
True that, yeah. So I have 2 minutes left. I'm gonna go for Christian's, like Christian Fouch is asking, what tools are you using to evaluate the modifications done to the virtual twin? Well, we don't really have, I mean, we lost count of the amount of modifications done to the virtual twin. Like what we did count was the difference between the average number of modifications that is typically happening in Belgium and the one that we had, like in our specific project, if you see what I mean, Christian. So I hear that some of you missed part of it, part of the presentation, and so as Amy is pointing out, there will be a recording available for those who missed some specific parts. Amy is telling me on the side that I have a bit more time until 16:20. So if there are additional questions, I will be happy to answer them. Some of you are typing in the chat. I'm just waiting until your messages are complete.
Yeah, you can unmute your microphone if you want to ask directly to Dimitri.
Does anybody have a remaining question?
It's funny, Dimitri. This morning, everyone wanted to talk, and this afternoon, nobody.
It makes sense. Like I would also be quite impressed. However,
I prefer to use chat.
so I have a question from Aurélien. Do you mean using the mockup in VR is far worth in terms of return on investment? Well, not really. So what I'm comparing is not using the immersive version of it compared to actually using it. That makes sense to you, Aurélien?
There's another question from Sasha Pascal.
What do you mean by DT, Pascal?
Digital twin.
Ah, digital twin. So what other kind of digital twins did we do? Well, actually, the other digital twin that we've done in the past, but this was one of the early projects, so it's less communicated about. It's basically for some kind of construction site. But like in our experience about digital twins, this one is really the one that we worked on.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, yes. I'm working on real-time 3D with Unreal, and I had a look on your website, and I saw you propose a wide range of training for the industry, and
Yeah.
I was wondering what kind of interactive device do you use? For example, there was, I don't know the word in English, a training on a tour. You can't use an Oculus helmet and just the usual device. What kind of other interactive tools can you use? Can you propose?
Well, on specific trainings that contain specific equipment. So you're taking the example of a tour. So I don't know either the word in English, but it's basically a piece of industrial equipment. We basically use mixed reality tools. So most of the times these kind of trainings are HTC Vive based, and they exploit basically Vive trackers with some specific hardware integrations in order to allow the users to train directly on the real device, so to speak. It's a mix of hand tracking and the real life device for these kind of trainings. Example that we have seen a lot is people doing fire extinguisher trainings. They be like it's typical to use a real life fire extinguisher hooked up inside the virtual reality simulation. So tool is called a latte in English, indeed. Problem, Marie. So Andreas is asking if we are defining what has to be tested before starting modeling. So it's well, often we always start with a good intuition of where we are doing when we do a digital test, digital twin. Like, okay, we are reproducing a specific environment because the main objective maybe is to train the people. Maybe the main objective is to check the installations for ergonomics or logistical optimization, things like this. What often happens is that you start with a simple version of the digital twin, and then you move from there. So it's a bit of I could even say improvisation down the line, meaning that you're going to start with a simple version of it. You're going to see already what the users are actually the most interested about with it, and then we basically improvise from there. So and like sometimes the client is going to want to actually expand the digital twin in terms of level of detail, because that's maybe something that's interesting for him, or maybe he's going to want to go more into the technical aspects of the digital twin. So all the technical shafts and all the engineering aspects of the building, or maybe they are going to go more into expanding the whole environment around the digital twin, and so on and so forth. So it's really, when you start with a project like this, don't really know in advance where you're going. You just start with an intuition, and then you adapt the digital twin to whatever it happens to be the most used for. So the Philippe Lebrun is actually asking, okay, but the Latte project, that must be like for school or something. So such trainings are a completely different model. So they are typically much less expensive. So if you look at the kind of VR trainings that we do, like here I have kind of a list of them. These trainings are, they are not a very expensive project for a very specific use case. They are a general training that can be used by many different companies. And so these kind of virtual reality trainings typically go down for 18 to 30 euro per session, per trained user. And for that kind of value price, actually the equipment training actually rock in terms of profitability, because a typical training session of a typical industrial operator is typically going to be around the 200 euros per half day, something like this. So reducing this all the way down to 30 is almost always a good bid for an industrial client. That answer your question, Philippe? So indeed, if you're interested in more, myself, I'm gonna stick around after the presentation, and I also have colleagues of One Bonsai in the room, so you can find us because we have One Bonsai written in our username, the one that floats on top of our heads. So if you have questions or further explorations that you guys want to do, don't hesitate coming to us. So to answer to Frank, yes, there is a recording that is being made by the organizers of Laval, and this one you will be able to access through a YouTube link that will be shared afterwards. You're welcome, Frank. Does anybody else have a question for me before I end this presentation and we go to the next presenter? So I get another question, which is, have you done any studies with skill transfer? So that's a very interesting one, and it's also a very tough one. So in terms of skill transfer, it's mostly a question about retention. So at the moment, we are really at the beginning of our virtual reality training system, and so especially next year, when we will be able to compare the learning metrics from this year with next year's, that we are going to be able to basically do some A/B testing, and that's going to be possible only for the clients who actually already measured their training performance before. Like most of the clients that do training actually don't let their people do exams. They just give the training and don't do any form of examination. So it's only for a minority of them that we will have the data available. And so does the accuracy of the simulated environments match to the real world experience after the training? So that specific question is known in the field as the question of representativity. Like, is a virtual training representative of real world? And actually, it happens that it is. People successfully transfer the skills that they learn in virtual. They successfully transfer it in real life. And at the beginning of your message, Ketoma, you ask, is it like is the accuracy of your simulated environment good enough to actually achieve that representativity? But it's actually less about the precision of the environment and more about the fact that the key learning points are clearly highlighted and clearly insisted upon inside the virtual reality training, if you see what I mean. What I mean is, if I kind of reformulate it to make it as clear as possible, is like when you do virtual reality trainings, the graphical fidelity is actually less important than the pedagogical contents. It's a bit like here, us now today, like in this virtual reality conference, like the graphical fidelity of it all is really low, yet we still have the conference experience that we expect to have, and everyone here will still forge the same, like similar memory levels, much more than what they would have if they would have just like followed, a YouTube presentation and so on and so forth. So is there a big demand for digital twin solutions? Well, yes. Actually, for everything, any, engineering, industrial project, a digital twin is going to save you money. There is one thing though, is that like a digital twin, that's something that is already being done. I don't know any decent engineering company who is not going to do a digital twin for a given project. What is less done is the virtual reality accessibility of these digital twins. Meaning, can you actually enter the digital twin with a virtual reality headset and have the spatio-realistic view of the place or the tool or the object that you're actually designing and engineering?
Had a quick moment and got to chat, get coffee. So I'd like to invite Edward Martin from Unity to the stage.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. First of all, thanks for all of your engagement and patience as we work through the all of the challenges with a virtual presentation. Should I just indicate when to flip slides then, please? All right. Okay, I see I've got the control here. So my purpose here today is to talk about driving business value with real-time 3D. I'm Ed Martin. I'm the lead product manager for the manufacturing industry vertical at Unity. I've been with Unity for about 3 years now, and have really spearheaded Unity's drive into industry. What I'll do is go through today, just provide a brief overview of what we're doing within Unity and provide a few customer examples, and I'll intersperse that with just some descriptions about what we're doing now and where we're heading in the future with our product and services strategy. So let's see, it is not letting me move to the next page. Okay, wonderful. So you should be able to play that video, hopefully. If not, we can move to the next slide. All right, so I'm here to talk about business value. And just if you consider the costs of everything that goes on inside of an enterprise, there are so many touch points where inefficiency, confusion, lack of clarity reigns today. If you consider something like a service technician doing work on a gas turbine for a power plant as the example here, or in the next slide. Next slide, please. Or assembly workers working in an automotive facility. In one case, you're talking about something that's very low volume and very high value. In the next case, something is lower value but extremely high volume. The costs of mistakes are extreme. And those mistakes can take many forms. They can be, like the 7 forms of waste that Edward Deming identified: waste of overproduction, waste of waiting, waste of errors. All of these generate negative business value, excessive costs, excessive time, potential damage to reputation. And so the exact business value that you're going to extract from using tools like real-time 3D very much depends on your individual business. But every business has gross inefficiencies today, and there's tremendous opportunity for improvement. if we can find ways to deliver the right information at every touch point, to every worker, to every consumer, to everyone that you interact with. And the beauty of real-time 3D is that we're able to deliver this content completely updated in real time without the traditional inefficiencies of typical development processes. Next slide, please. Our view is that real-time 3D is a revolution on par with the change that took place with the introduction of computer-aided 2D design a couple of decades ago, well, several decades ago. The transition from 2D to 3D design that really swept through the world beginning in the 1980s, but really taking root in the 1990s. And today, this is now changing where really we're moving from 3D design into real-time 3D. Now, of course, all of the other design processes are still needed. You still need to author 3D content in 3D. You still need to do control systems development. You still need to do all of these other things. But what real-time 3D does is present the promise to bring all of this and take that information and provide it to workers, consumers, all stakeholders almost instantaneously. Next slide, please. As a result, real-time is changing everything. It's changing how competitive businesses build and deliver new products, and it's changing the product experiences that consumers now expect. And it's my belief, and I think belief of many others, that this is becoming a new basis for competition. That companies that are not adopting real-time 3D technology are at the risk of falling behind. Next slide, please. And whether you're using real-time 3D for things like real-time design review, in this case, reviewing the design of a building on a mobile device, as opposed to someone sitting behind their desk at a computer, or, next slide, or a company that is doing a complete digital twin development of in real time, in this case, an airport baggage screening machine that integrates not only all the 3D design, but all the human machine interface and the actual control system software and scenarios of different patterns of passengers going through the screening point, all in real time. Or, next slide. Or an automaker that's developing real-time customer experience to have a truly augmented view of the world where you can identify important information such as detecting pedestrians about to cross the street, warning the driver, providing an overview of navigation through a city. All of these things, the three examples I just showed you, are all examples that were built in Unity. The first one was an example of our Reflect application being used for design review of a building. The second one was an example from a Unity partner, Unito 40, based in the Netherlands, that has a digital twin solution built on Unity. And the third one is an example from Nissan shown at CES last year, showing the potential for how real-time can transform the in-vehicle experience. These are only three of many examples of where real-time 3D has the potential to transform both business processes, development processes, customer interaction processes, and the end customer experience. Next slide, please. The advantages of real-time 3D, as I mentioned earlier, really fall into four categories. One is speed to market. By being able to provide up-to-date information instantaneously in front of the people who need to see it, in the format they need to see it in, whether that's in a VR headset or whether that's a mobile AR application, that accelerates development and speed to market. Cost leadership. I mentioned before the cost of inefficiencies. And by eliminating those inefficiencies throughout the entire pipeline from concept through delivery and deployment and even in-field service, you have the potential to reduce waste and cut cost, not by cutting corners, but cut cost by eliminating waste and actually delivering a better quality product in the end. The next point, the quality of product. Better designs, less waste, fewer errors lead to a better quality product and directly lead to better customer experience. And once you have that better customer experience, you can really focus your efforts on innovating to deliver a better experience, as opposed to putting your effort into patching problems in the existing workflow. But all of that takes work. Next slide, please. And that's why we're here to support you as Unity. And I want to talk a few ways in which what we're doing to provide you the support that you need to succeed. Because ultimately, Unity is a platform. That platform is used by partners, by customers to deliver value far beyond what Unity is able to do ourselves. But what we want to do is provide the best possible platform for you to build upon. Examples of that include, next slide, please. Supporting more platforms. So in Unity's Unity terminology, a platform is a combination of a device, so a particular processor GPU combination, a device form factor with an operating system. And we support more platforms than any other real-time 3D system. And it's really this ability to develop within Unity, so no matter what kind of experience you're developing, and then to be able to publish that out to multiple different endpoints is a tremendous value. In a lot of ways, if you develop on Unity, you're future-proofing your experience to be able to support new platforms as they become available, even if they're, even if something that's only, say, available in the lab today, in a couple of years, there's a very good chance that it'll be supported. In fact, it's not uncommon for when a device is first introduced to the market that one of the first things that a device developer does is develop a Unity plugin to help support that. Next slide, please. We're also supporting you with more Unity products and services. Of course, you're familiar with Unity Pro, really the core Unity platform that applications are built upon. We've also introduced Unity Enterprise, and we have a Unity Enterprise for Product Lifecycle product, which is available through our sales team, which contains additional industry-specific features that are specifically targeted toward the types of work that industry customers do. We have Reflect, which is a real-time data connection that allowing you to connect live source application to the end user experience. So say, for example, currently we have Reflect connected up to Revit. We have plans to expand this to a number of different applications. A designer in Revit can make a change to the source model. That change will flow directly through Reflect and can be then updated in an end user application on a mobile device. You'll actually see the change happening live on a mobile device as the source design change was made. You don't have to update in real time, but depending on your needs of the workflow, the potential is there. Simulation. Unity Simulation now provides the ability to run tens, hundreds, thousands of simultaneous simulations on the cloud to be able to do everything from developing machine learning algorithms for autonomous robotics to determining optimal decisions for, say, logistics or other planning purposes. Art Engine allows you to easily and quickly capture materials from the real world. Our asset store, our multiplay systems, Unity teams. All of these are things that we're bringing to you to provide more value, and we have plenty more in the works. Next slide, please. It's also important to talk about our partners. Pixies, which many of you may be familiar with, based in Paris, has the leading solution for being able to bring in CAD and other 3D data into real time with an automated data preparation pipeline. So with Pixies, whether you're bringing CATIA data or NX data or Creo or Inventor or IFC data or Revit data, you're able to bring that data in. You're able to apply automation to prepare that data so that it is both has high visual quality and it's lightweight and performant to use within real-time 3D. Interact from Light and Shadows, another Paris-based company, is a solution that allows non-developers to be able to create very complex immersive experiences. So for example, you can do something like create a training application to train workers on how to install flexible hoses and cables because of the soft body physics capabilities of Interact. And our experience has been that employees that are able to experience these sorts of things in VR have much better retention of information than if they're going through traditional training operations. And of course, in many cases, you need to do the training before parts are actually available, before machines are actually available. Perspective, based in the Netherlands, has developed a virtual prototyping solution, digital twin solution, that allows you to integrate with nearly anything. You can integrate with Simulink data, functional mockup unit, or FMU data. You can connect to many common control systems so that you can actually have a physical controller connect to your virtual model and run a virtual version of your machine before it's ever built with the actual control software that you're using to develop the machine. The potential for using these types of tools is nearly limitless. And we're actively developing more partners to be part of our partner program. And I'd like to make the offer that if a company out there has something that you think solves a particular need in the manufacturing or the architecture, engineering, construction, or the media and entertainment vertical, we're very interested in talking with you to understand what your capabilities are and whether you might be a fit for that partner program. Next slide, please. Beyond that, we're also providing programs to help our customers succeed. So success management programs to help you achieve your goals and to really work side by side with you to help you achieve the business value that you're looking to achieve. Education and training programs, everything from free online training to customized training programs and everything in between to help your employees be successful. Expert consulting, because it's not our objective to provide services for all uses of Unity, but we know the engine better than anyone else. And when you need help with the Unity engine, we're there to help you. And support. We have an excellent enterprise support organization to help you when you run into snags, to help you address things, any kind of questions you may have, to escalate issues for rapid response that you may be having with your application of Unity. Next slide, please. And most importantly, no black boxes. This is something which is really a foundational ethos of Unity. We want to make sure that the experiences that are built in Unity can easily be accessed and shared. And that's why we provide increasingly we're providing a lot of our content available in C# for things that you might want to go in and modify yourself. We have an extremely capable API and good documentation. And we really want to move out of this world of proprietary black box solutions and have a platform so that people can take their Unity projects, they can share them, and they're essentially we can develop a community of makers and developers working on the platform as opposed to just individuals using just a turnkey application. Next slide, please. So what are we doing for the enterprise? Three things. One, clear product roadmaps. And I'm not going to be talking about product roadmaps today because the presentation's too short for that. But certainly in individual meetings with customers, we're going into those in detail. We have long-term support and sustained engineering. So we have a way for you to be able to stay on a particular version of Unity, maintain support for that, and our sustained engineering team will even backport the changes and bug fixes and the like to previous versions of Unity. And upgrade paths. So we provide ways for you if you are not getting the value that you need from Unity today, there are additional features and capabilities that you need. We provide ways for you to access those new features and capabilities that we're introducing. Next slide, please. So why Unity? I think really, ultimately, there are 5 key things that are the basis for why Unity. One is integration. What I found in talking with numerous customers is that one of the key things that they really see as a value of Unity is the ability to integrate with other systems, whether it's integrating with cloud databases or integrating with physical controllers or integrating with other hardware or other software systems. The API that we have in Unity is so well developed and so rich that it makes it very easy to do that integration. As I mentioned before, the multi-platform capabilities of Unity. Number 3, the pipeline to help you prepare, deliver, update data using Pixies, using Reflect, so that you're able to constantly put your data through Unity. If you can't get the data into Unity conveniently, then we're not serving you correctly. Our support and services programs and training. And then finally, the single greatest strength of Unity is our community. It's the passionate people who care about Unity, who want to come in and help others who are using Unity for these applications. And honestly, our community is the single strongest part of Unity. All right, next slide, please. I'm relatively short on time, so I'm going to just quickly go over this. If you look at the types of applications that Unity is used for, virtual prototyping and design review, engineering review, simulation, software development, HMI prototyping, spatial analysis, VR training, digital twin development, the deployment of production HMIs, AR applications for construction, virtual showrooms for marketing, product configurators, IoT integration. That's just skimming the surface. The number of applications are extensive. It never ceases to amaze me how popular and how varied the applications are that customers have that they're developing with Unity. All right, next slide. And then since we're pretty much out of time, I'm just going to keep flipping the slides here, and I'm going to talk briefly. So I mentioned before the Vanderlande, which is a subsidiary of Toyota Industries, using Unity for virtual prototyping of a Unity and Perspective from Unido 40 for virtual prototyping of a very complex machine and being able to work through everything from bugs in the control software to how it handles unusual security situations and traffic throughput. Next slide. And then skip over 2 slides, please. All right, next slide. Together with Lightshape, collaborative review by Audi for design review of new vehicle designs. Next slide, please. We're going to skip playing the videos on these. Volvo, in partnership with Vario, developed an application that allows a driver on a closed course, of course, to simulate and to experience how the vehicle responds to certain safety situations. And in this case, they have a moose that goes in front of the car. It's a virtual moose, but not only does the driver see the virtual moose in their headset, the car actually sees the virtual moose as well and responds as if it were a real moose. The perfect example of the kind of integration capabilities that Unity offers. All right, we are pretty much out of time, so I'm going to ask to go to the next to the last slide with the looking ahead. And just say, what can you expect to see from Unity? What you're going to see from us is we've already started with our Unity Enterprise for Product Lifecycle to create specific vertical solutions. You're going to see more of that from us. We're going to develop a platform for both Unity and others to be able to develop applications on top of Unity and get those to your end customers more easily than ever. So we're going to provide you with ways of distributing and more partner programs, both for products and services, so that to take this community that we've developed and to broaden it and to develop a strong industry community around Unity. You're going to see more toolkits from Unity that provide a foundation with industry-specific capabilities for you to build on top of. You're going to see more services from Unity, including cloud services that make it allow you to tap into the power of these applications more conveniently than ever with one-click workflows. Effectively, what you're going to see us do, and this you're going to see a lot of this over the next year, is a rapid build out of our industry capabilities. I'm going to go ahead and take one or two questions, and then I'm going to have to turn it over to the next speaker. All right. So I can go ahead and take questions. Yep, you can type questions into the panel, or you can turn your mic on and ask questions. Does Unity provide the same services as VVVV? So real-time video synthesis. So I am not familiar with VVVV. I think in general, yes. I think the biggest difference is the multi-platform capabilities of Unity, as well as the additional, additional features within Unity for things like, for example, physics engine. So I think really the advantage of Unity is it's a more versatile development platform. So that I think Unity does the same thing as many applications. I'm not familiar with the details of VVVV. How's it different to Second Life? Well, I mean, you can essentially build a Second Life-like experience using Unity and using our multiplayer services. Unity itself, though, is really a platform for developing these. It's not a competitor to VVVV. It's not a competitor to Second Life. It's a platform that you can use to build experiences like that. Okay. All right. Time for one more question, and then I'm going to have to turn things over to the next speaker. When can we expect some more enterprise templates? So for those who have access to Unity Enterprise for Product Lifecycle, we are continuing to update those, particularly the Immersive Collaboration Toolkit throughout the year. You can expect to see more from us later this year, toward the end of the year. And will Unity ever officially support Webgl for mobile devices? That is absolutely something that I'm very focused on, and so I think the answer is yes. I can't promise a date just because it's not appropriate for me to do so, but absolutely that's a priority for us. All right, I need to turn things over to the next speaker. Thank you everyone for your patience with a few of the presentation challenges that we had, and thanks to Ophelie for loading the slides up and presenting because of the challenges I had with the interface and flipping slides for me. I really appreciate that. Thanks, everyone.
Our next speaker is actually going to be joining us in VR.
Can you actually guys hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay, so I have 25 minutes, right?
Yeah, 20 you say.
20. Okay. So my name is David Nahon. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm part of DASSAULT system and as well as the AFXR, l'Association Française de XR, that I will talk about a little bit later. Let me just for a start, so I'm going to speak about how immersive experience, so VR, AR, but mostly VR, can contribute to the co-creation of new products. Let me just very, very briefly present DASSAULT system. I'm not going to go into detail. We are not doing planes, right? We do software, okay? We actually do software, and you know the brands like CATIA or SolidWorks or Simulia or Delmia. This is our job. Someone is talking. We have a main central project called the 3D Experience, and we deliver solutions for 11 industries, you name it. Any kind of industry, any kind of brand you may know is our customers, as well as makers. So these are just the big ones, but obviously we are into many, many markets, as you could guess, especially with SolidWorks. I am part of the 3D Experience Lab. The 3D Experience Lab is the open innovation lab of DASSAULT system. And we have one very specificity is that we want to have actions and impact on the society. So we have, for instance, an acceleration program for startups that we support. And together we address some of the sustainable goals of the United Nations. That is really our core purpose, which is somehow, you will see later, very close to the very purpose of DASSAULT system. I myself, I'm the director of the Immersive Reality Lab, which is part of the 3D Experience Lab. And my job is to find out what could be the new offers that we could bring to the market thanks to immersive technologies. So what are we talking about? I want to make sure we do speak about immersive VR. So like really the closed loop where a user would act the experience. So yes, this action perception loop enables the end user to have a very natural and simple experience. And that is really what is key. And what we are going to describe is how some of things are going to go through the head of the user, if I could say. And so more particularly, we want to focus on that part. So how can we bring useful insights in the design process thanks to VR. So this is how we usually explain how immersive technologies, VR, AR, can contribute around the product lifecycle, and what are the very reasons why someone would leverage those kind of technologies. So we're going to speak mostly about those two ones, and those two ones are actually at the beginning of the product lifecycle. Basically, a user would I teleported in the stage, in the public. Let me get back to here. So at the beginning of the life cycle, someone has to find IDs to do early design, to prototype IDs and these kind of things. And then they are, so we are at that stage during the engineering moment, and then the manufacturing. So these two levers, like user experience design and understand complexity, are the two very reasons why we want to use VR. So now, where are we? When it takes, I was speaking about co-creation. Co-creation means that there is a designer, there is a corp, there is some people who make the product, and users are going to. So what do we see is that the more you grow in this curve, the more people can have an influence on the actual design. So at the very beginning, they can say, yes, it's good, it's not good, it's a go, no go. Then you can do a DMU. So let me trigger a video. I hope it's not going to be too jumpy. It will obviously be jumpy. And what you're currently seeing is something within 3D Play, which is at the core of the 3D Experience platform, and allows someone to explore a product and then look at specific areas and potentially provide feedback so that it goes into a reviewing process and then can go forwards. So probably at the engineering time. The further step would be to configure. So you are going to give options and make choices like would that bike here. So we are now totally inside CATIA, and in particular a product called Product Perception Experience, and natively within that product, so after just one click, you are able to have this VR experience with a Vive typically, and take decisions regarding the configuration. An even further capacity that we could offer to someone in the loop would be to actually compose the scene. So this person would be kind of part of the layout of the scene. And you saw previously an experience from Clarté years ago, so this is not new. But what we're showing here is a solution that actually we have on the market called Home by Me. And Home by Me is leveraging WebVR to provide the capacity to anyone connecting to a web page to actually configure a home, a stage, a space with furniture, move them around, make choices regarding their position, their look and feel, and lots of things. So it's already a kind of design tool, and it's already very much democratized because it is a tool. It's a B2C offer from us. So it's a tool that anyone can actually use. Let me go further and show you this late video, which shows a scene within CATIA of a product that is now on the market called CATIA Live, CATIA Natural Sketch, sorry. And so that product enables anyone, so totally inside CATIA, so it's a kind of design tool in VR, totally within CATIA. So you can start from an existing CAD assembly and redesign it, add new ideas and functionalities. So this is already on the market. So how can we now, oh, sorry, I have teleported again too far, because I'm using the system menu of my controller to change slides. So here is the question I'm asking. What if anyone could sketch ideas in VR? Because if we could, then anyone may be part of this ideation process. And so we did many experiments to explore that area. We did a first demo. I call it a demo because it was really like a concept experience, something we wanted to try, called 3D Dream Sketcher in 2016. It was actually, by the way, showcased at Laval VRtical in the Revolution contest, and it was shown at CES in 2016. So let me show you, hopefully, this video, which is on YouTube. You will be able to find it. It will give you so I don't know how good it is, probably not very good on your screen. But basically, what we did is ask anyone who would come to our booth to actually sketch an idea. So anything that, actually not an idea, a dream. We say people sketch a dream where you would stage yourself in a dream. And so we started from something very specific, which is a point cloud that we got from a pair of Kinects. And we discovered that people have done absolutely incredible things, even if they were not professional designers. I think the video is probably not very good. So let me skip it and show you some of the results. If you go to this bit.ly address that I'm giving, you'll be able to look at what people have done. And that really helps us think that there was something big behind that. So what we decided was to, sorry about that, to further explore this area. And we decided to create a new innovation project within the 3D Experience Lab, which takes this question is that what I'm talking about, if we leverage this, the simplicity of VR, can anyone sketch ideas and bring them to life? And so how did we proceed? We started to team with first with Blue Nerve and then with co-designing. These two agencies are facilitators, facilitating agencies. Their job is to create labs and be within labs a hand to really organize processes where people are usually using Post-its and sketch pads and graphics facilitators in the ideation phase. And they were very interested in seeing how this digital VR experience could go further in their job. So we mostly worked then with co-design it, and we started to see how Dream Sketcher could be used. And in particular, we explored more precisely the prototyping and ideation phases. There's a small delay. And then we thought, we decided to see how we could actually leverage CATIA Natural Sketch within an experience that would fit our purpose. And so we created Planet Care. So Planet Care is an experience that, again, we first showcased during an event in the idea to promote Dassault System belief and Dassault System purpose, which is, by the way, provide our users and customers a way to imagine innovation that can be sustainable. And so we challenged the audience to actually use this ideation tool to invent new ideas. And for that, we started to model a few environments to be the starting point of their ideation activity. So these are the 6 spaces that we started to provide. So there's a beach with garbage on it and characters. There's a building. So you would see in the last video 2 examples of that. And that has been quite successful, but also very fruitful, because we have to change the video manually. Just hold on. Change the slide. Yeah. And what has been the procedure is to actually let people sketch and then describe what they have sketched so that people will understand their idea. So on your right-hand side, you see someone sketching inside a supermarket and inventing an idea around how to inform the shopper on the sustainability of the purchasing he's about to do. And on the left, you see someone designing in a city where there is rain, a way to use the rain to feel a kind of counterweight in a lift. And that was really an interesting idea. And actually, both ideas has been very, very bright and very interesting. So that confirms that the system is actually working in this ideation processes. So as a conclusion, what did we learn? First, and we learned it a long time ago, is that most people manage to sketch in VR. It's easy, it's natural, because you don't have to think about the perspective. You just move in the air, and that is easy for anyone, and we proved it. The second thing is that the context into which people are sketching is essential. So would it be in Dream Sketcher where people actually start with their body as a starting point and they sketch around it, or would it be in Planet Care in the space they have, we provide them and then they start to sketch? It's essential. If you give someone like an empty space and you give them a tilt brush or whatever, even our software, and you tell them, okay, give me your idea, they will probably do nothing interesting. The induction of the context as the starting point of the experience is absolutely key. The third point is that the ideation activity is not just what happens in VR. It actually happens before, when people are discussing. So I'm going to replay that video if you haven't seen it. It works, whatever. People are discussing, people are in a process before they actually go and sketch their idea. So it's a global process. The fourth point is that there is a kind of drawback or advantage. Gesturing publicly, like a bit like I'm doing now, but I have an avatar, so maybe I don't really care. But if you are in an actual trade show, I think you can see the picture there. Here, it's during one of our events. Sketching in the air is actually a show. So if you are not a show person, it's going to be an issue. But you can still do small groups, and then you would be able to have a more intimate experience. But it's important to understand that. And the last point is that the kind of job Co-Designit is doing, for instance, and what they have learned in terms of facilitation is absolutely needed in such kind of process. The fact that a group of people would feed this ideation process needs someone who is skilled and will drive that activity. So here we are. If you want to go further, here's a few actions you could do. First, obviously, you can connect with me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. There's a shortcut here. You can visit this link in bit.ly, so it's bit.ly/3dx-IIS for immersive IDs sharing, and you will end up in the page I showed you where you can actually register to get access to a community, which is a kind of global community on that topic where we leverage the collective intelligence. Again, this is something we do a lot at DS and in the 3D Experience Lab. And what we want to do, and we started to work with Simon Richir, a very famous researcher in Laval, co-founder of Laval Virtual, by the way, scientific director of Laval Virtual. We started to see how we could build a share or a joint research project. So if that project is ringing a bell, just go and contact me or contact the community that way. And I'm almost done. I just want to say that you can find the presentation behind the link, which is on the screen here. If you didn't have time so if you have one link to remember, it's going to be that one. And last but not least, I'm one of the co-founder of the French association AFXR, and we are going to give meetup on Friday noon. So if you go to afxr.org, you'll discover the announce of the event, and we will disclose a new website supported by a lot of people in the French community, including DASSAULT system. And I think I am done with it. Thank you very much for your attention, just in time. So yeah, actually quite impressive. Obviously, you don't have the same performances as you would get with OpenGL or native language, but it's pretty decent. And in the case of Home by Me, it's usually working quite well. And I think the good news is that in the future, we will probably have an increasing performance because it's an open, the web is an open standard. And so people who are doing the web browsers will definitely invest in that platform. And that will definitely be the killer platform, probably replacing everything, including any kind of proprietary ones. So I believe very much that these standards will evolve and serve the community very well.